I can't promise you'll feel better after this, but I guarantee we'll talk about it, we'll laugh about it, and we'll go on with our day. So I recommend grabbing your favorite drink, grab your smokes, and let's hash this shit out. This is Talking at You, Season 2.
Hello everybody, name's Rob, Talking at You. Been a while. Today's subject's going to be about teenage dating, and I'm 3 times over now. Raised a couple. One was a boy, one was a girl. Currently have a 13-year-old jumping into the dating world. Recently, she had a relationship which was really just a tester one. It didn't really go anywhere. They didn't actually date or do anything. It's more of an online relationship. Got to call each other boyfriend, girlfriend at school. So that didn't pan out. There really wasn't any emotions there and no real effort to see each other. So we all knew how that was going to turn out. And then she kind of rebounded. After about a week, her friends set her up with a kid from another school. It did well. It's doing well. But now she's thinking she's, I want to say, she sounds like she's just bored with it, or she's just not ready for a full-on real relationship. He's all wants to do this every weekend, ice skating, 13-year-old stuff. She's starting to think, with COVID, everything being opened up and less restrictions, that she doesn't want to be restricted. And she wants to see her friends more and stuff like that. And she's thinking he's going to be clingy and he's going to take up a lot of her time, which I explained to her that's a relationship. You got to put your time in if you want something worth effort. So I don't have a lot of early teenage experience. I kind of got into the dating field a little late in the game. She asked me, how do I break up with this guy? He's a nice guy. He apparently already said he loved her, which, that might have what scared her. But anyway, so my experiences, all I have is mostly, 16 and up. So I can maybe help better in those age groups, but I'm telling her, go easy on them, have a good speech. You don't want to screw this kid up for every future woman. If anything, the best thing that's going to come out of it is he doesn't say I love you within a month, and that is really a great lesson that we all learn. So I had, like I said, 2 other ones that dealt with this. I had another daughter, my oldest, and she didn't get into the dating game till later in life. Not really sure what her goal was, what she was looking for. She did, I guess her first boyfriend was kind of a needy guy. Good looking, great at sports, every dad knows like, oh yeah, this guy's good material, right? But extremely emotionally damaged, and it followed suit. She kind of, I don't want to say she's an empath, but she definitely took in a lot of his shit, and she tried fixing it, and it just, I think mentally it got in there, and it scrambled her up a bit. After him, she took a little hiatus and ended up meeting a guy, probably. He wasn't really that older than her. I mean, he was like, she was like, I don't know, she might have been like 17, 18. He was, I think, 20. So I didn't like the idea that he's already out of school and she's still finishing school. Plus, he had a kid or something. It's like, this is, I mean, and I think, like, married for a very short period of time. And my dad radar, it says, run, stay away. You have no reason to be this obligated at 18. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it was bad advice. Maybe put a seed in her head that she didn't want to be with this guy. But I think it was way too early. And I don't even care. That's just something at 18 you don't got to take on. You're still figuring out your shit. So that didn't last long. And then she met another guy. her age group. This is when she was graduated college. So she met him through school. Everything was great. He's kind of a weirdo. But I stayed out of it this time. Figured she's figured things out. She'll learn. And she's seen it. At some point, they weren't really doing friend things together. They were kind of running their own separate lives, and he was kind of I don't know. I mean, whatever. But he wasn't the same level as she was. He was still maturing. She was already there. So she just kind of cut that one off, and I didn't get all the details, and you never do as a parent. But as far as I know, they're not even on talking terms. So anyways, yeah, so she's still learning. She's right now not dating anybody. My son, I don't know, I guess he started like maybe 12 or 13 even. That didn't go well. I guess his girlfriend cheated on him, whatever that means at that age. But anyways, yeah, so that was another deal where he didn't see her a lot. It was more online, and she was more of a free will, bad parents that didn't really give a shit what she did, and he had parents that did give a shit what he did. So when it came down to doing things, he wasn't always allowed to do things, and so I'm sure availability might have hurt that relationship, but it ends up being she wasn't a very good person anyway, so it worked out well. And then he tried another person for a while, and that didn't work out well, and he was just too young. And he did take a lot of my advice. He learned a lot, so he was off dating for years. I mean, I don't think he got back into it. He was interested in girls. He seen his sister had boyfriends, and his friends had girlfriends, and he thought he should have one, but he just never went through with it, which is fine. I mean, that's not a good reason to have a partner, I guess, is because everybody else has one. So he eventually found another girl, and she had her own issues. A lot of issues, actually, that she was working with, and they mutually broke it off because, he couldn't keep up with it. He was trying to fix a lot going on there, and he would have stuck with it. He's pretty good like that. Now he's with another girl, another country, actually. We're pretty close to the Canadian border, so he's got a Canadian girlfriend, which seems to be working out well. It was a little shaky there when everything was locked down, but they're making it work. So, but anyways, back to the current one, the 13-year-old. She's kind of calling it quits for a while. We'll see how long that lasts. Her friends are pretty influential, so we'll see. I have my own experiences growing up with dating. My first real girlfriend, I think, it was puppy love. I didn't really know where I was at. I was going through a lot of hormones, and she had a lot of the right parts, I guess. So there was that. And then things definitely escalated to a point where I was way too young for the experiences I was having. And can't say those stopped, but she ended up going to a band camp, cheating on me, which really, she came clean, told me about it, which that's got to be a good thing, right? I mean, there's stuff there, and I get it. We're all young. We're still experimenting, trying to learn things, but she was pretty experienced before she found me because she was still in high school, and this wasn't like, she wasn't of age yet. So she had like a 20-some, 30-some-year-old boyfriend before me. So I'm sure she was still mentally screwed up from whatever that happened there, which I'm guessing was just he was getting a little worried about the law and cut her loose. So she was damaged in that area. And, so yeah, back to my story. Anyways, after she told me everything, it basically, in high school, I didn't care. I was a kind of a free-spirited guy. I didn't really care that someone cheats on me. I'm not going to give them two shits of a no. So I cut it off immediately, like cold turkey, no warning, just done. And yeah, so that definitely screwed her up. I didn't think she was that into me at that time, but she apparently was, and it was a long going 6 months. It was, I don't even know. It got so bad there I just couldn't handle it. And it screwed her up in ways. I eventually got a little more cold-hearted towards women, which is what happens when someone cheats on you. You hold that grudge forever. Everybody you date, you're holding it at that level. Like, it could happen. They could do that. And it's a hard one to get over. And yeah, so after that, it was kind of, I went through a couple girlfriends. met one in school, which I eventually married. Yeah, I mean, that was great. Great relationship. I mean, it was kind of like a you marry your best friend scenario, and I mean, everything about us was exactly the same, which probably is where the problem was at to begin with. It wasn't set up well. I mean, when we first met each other, we were basically cheating on each other's other. So that went back and forth like that for, a couple summers. And, we got serious. She had her issues. I had mine. Mine are still developing into something scarier. But so we tried, got married, had the great relationship. Everybody thought it was perfect. Everybody thought we were doing awesome. And there was a dark underbelly there that, I didn't know about. I mean, she was definitely, I don't know if she's just feeling cheated about being so young and getting married, which definitely, yes, we were way too young. Multiple. So there's a lot of things that definitely were an issue. So she was 21 already when I wasn't, and that was drinking age around here. So she was buying minors alcohol, and of course, that's leading to other things, her going places she shouldn't go. And she's that older girl, worked in a grocery store with a bunch of younger guys, and it's like, so of course they're taking a liking to her, and she's just eating it up. So, a young romantic thinking, my mom and dad got divorced, I don't want to be divorced, so we'll make it work. And, over time that weighs on someone's mind, and they just pretend like it never happened and try to get over it. And so that's always on your mind. And these are the kind of things you try to save our children from. So, I mean, maybe they need the experience, maybe they don't. I don't know. So that's where my advice comes when I give people advice on relationships. I mean, that, and I was after the divorce, the separation out on that, when you stop caring, when you lose the trust, it's a downhill road. It's only a matter of time. So yeah, you learn a lot in the process of dating, and sure, we should maybe let our kids figure it out the hard way like we did, but if you can save them a divorce, having children beforehand, or if you can save them from a heartache that's unnecessary to learn from, I definitely think it's worth it. I mean, at some point you gotta know when to let them roll with it and figure out what's good and what's bad. Maybe I should share more of my experiences with them. I only shared, the ones that weren't going to damage them. Then I went on online dating for a while. I can't say that was the most horrible experience. It was a weird learning curve to it, but after you learn it, I mean, holy shit, it's like, I mean, if you want to be a single guy forever and just work off of that, it works. It's amazing. As a guy, as a woman, I don't understand why women do it, because there's no good guy on those dating sites. You can try, and the guy will eventually come around. I mean, I was one of them. I mean, I met my current wife on a dating site, and I didn't go into for good intentions, of course. I mean, I was out there. I mean, I dated for a year on it, and it's like every week with somebody new. I mean, it's just, you could have 4 or 5 lined up in one week, and it's like you're just talking to people, dating people. You're just hanging out with people, and it's like they're all out there for bad intentions too. I mean, you go on there, you learn. I mean, I'm probably gonna do a whole episode of just online dating, because it's the old one where I knew the old way of doing it, but I never did Tinder or anything. It's just like POF and all the other ones, the early on ones. But yeah, that's a scary site too. That screws up your own mental ways. I mean, it definitely opened up a part of me that I didn't even know I had. Like when I first started dating, like back in high school, it's like you really had to try hard. And nowadays it's just so much easier. I mean, you don't gotta have money, you don't gotta have success, you don't have to have friends, you don't have to have anything. I mean, it's just, I don't even understand how to explain the way things work now. It's like the women reverse the roles or something, and then now they're the guys and they're pursuing just whatever's out there. It's like, it's craziness. You just get overwhelmed with it, and guys actually back down. It's like, holy crap, just stop. But yeah, I mean, so that's why I rolled with it. I let it go. I mean, I learned a lot about myself, what you can and can't say to, make certain situations happen. I've taught myself, I understand flirting a little better now. It's like, I didn't realize, I'm just a nice person. So, I mean, I always say nice things to women. You boost them up. You say this and that. It's like, hey, gorgeous, hey, beautiful. Or you're just honest with me, tell them things. It's like, and you got to not do that if you're not looking for relationships, because women register those kind of things a lot different than guys do. I get compliments, a lot, but I don't think anything of them, because, you hear them enough times, you just don't care anymore. It's like, whatever. But women, they're always looking for that guy. They don't even care if he's married anymore. It's like, they just want that guy. It's like, that guy doesn't exist. If he's in a bar or with a woman or anything, if he's in any situation where you would be unhappy, yeah, he's a horrible guy. Don't talk to guys that are married. Don't talk to guys that are with girlfriends. Don't talk to guys that are, just don't talk to guys in bad scenarios. If they're in the bars and they're plastered and you're talking to him and he's talking to you, and it's like, he's going to be that guy afterwards too. So, rolling off subject here. So, yeah, relationships and teenagers. It's hard to say. I don't have a ton of positive advice. I guess that's what it's called. I don't have any positive vibes for anybody young in relationships. All I can tell them is feel it out. They're all going to be practice relationships. Until you're in your 20s, 30s, none of it's going to matter. You have no experiences yet. You got to gain those experiences and take what people tell you. You might not apply it to anything, but as someone says, stay out of the scenario because it's going to end badly. It will end badly. We've seen it. We know. Parents aren't just bullshitting you to keep you out of a relationship and whatever. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to dump the bad guy for the good guy. You're going to dump the good guy for the bad guy. You're going to get caught in scenarios that are bad for you, and you're going to hopefully get over some of the really bad ones, but you might not. So, yeah. So this is more of a kind of a just, I don't know what you want to call it. It's kind of like a rant. It's kind of like maybe someone else is listening to something like this and thinking, well, I'm talking to my teenager. What do I do? It's a horrible double standard out there. I've lived by it. I maybe still do. I don't know. If I have a teenage boy that comes to me and asks me about relationships, it's going to be a whole lot different advice than a teenage girl, because it just is. It just is different. It's a horrible double standard that's real. Because a girl in a bad relationship and she breaks it off is going to end differently than a boy in a bad relationship and breaks it off. Because we all know it. We all know that, girls that end relationships with possessive guys, they're going to get smeared. They're going to get run through the ringer, and all they can hope for is they got really good friend base, because it's life makers. That stuff sticks. So if you get branded, if you're a girl and you get branded a slut or something in school, and you're in a small town, and you're never going to get over that. You're never going to be outside of that stigma, and you can move away, but mentally that's still there. You're still holding on to that in your mind. So yeah, and as a boy, it's like, and I'm just making assumptions here because I really can't tell you the mindset of a girl, but I can assume from my experiences, the stories they've told me, that's kind of how it works. And for boys, this is the only thing I really, I guess, have experience on, because I have been cheated on. I don't know. That's pretty much the worst of my experiences, but for a boy, it's not. We're emotional. We don't, that first two or three breakups, it hits hard, and then we learn the wrong things. So we learn not to say I love you right away, or we learn not to give out certain emotions right away, or not give emotions at all, or not to be that nice chivalrous guy that, we think the women want because the last one turned us down, so it didn't work. It's a double standard. So you guys give double standard advice. You can tell a guy all day long, treat her right, give her flowers and candy, all this, old information. It's like, and a lot of them, that's just us grooming that. It's like, those women early on, they don't really know what they want yet. They don't know that they want candies and chocolates. That's what they're told, that's what's right. Maybe that's not what they care about. Maybe they don't want it. Maybe they just want you to talk to them. Be there. That helps. So, don't go buying 6-foot teddy bears for your girlfriend. That's stupid and pointless, and in the end, she stuck with a 6-foot teddy bear, and you wasted a bunch of money. Diamonds, jewelry. That's sweet and all for Valentine's Day, sweetest day, but don't just go buying those. That's what I did wrong. I just buy jewelry because it was easy, and a lot of times you buy cheap jewelry is really easy. So they like it, they love it, but you are really the biggest factor in how your relationship turns out. If you don't want a clingy boyfriend, you don't want a clingy girlfriend, right off the bat, tell them you don't want that. And tell them that's not how it's going to work. And that won't happen. If you don't like being called babe, you don't like being called pet names, tell them you don't like that. And it's really easy. That's all there is to it right off the bat. You got that first week. That's your break-in week, where you learn and tell them everything you need to know, everything you want to share, and say, hey, this is exactly where I want things to be right now, and it'll go that way. So either they'll get scared and run, which is great to find out early on, or they'll get angry and whatever. And, you know, good to know that too. You want to know their anger levels because some people can put on a real good show. I mean, I've known a lot of relationships where these girls meet these guys. As a guy, you can tell right off the bat. You tell her all day long. It's like, oh, he's not going to work out well. He's kind of a loose cannon. And they say, oh no, he's really sweet to me, but no, it doesn't work that way. They're really sweet to you until at some point where it becomes ownership, and he will turn. I mean, women do the same thing. They get possessive. And when they, at a certain point in the relationship, they think that you're not going to leave, or I don't know. There's lots of ways, I guess, you get stuck in relationships. I guess for pity, for you feel bad for somebody, or just fear. But if you can catch it on early on in the game, you're going to save yourself a lot of hurt, anger, a lot of everything. So if there's somebody that's really clingy, if there's someone that is like always on you, trying to take up all your time, if there's somebody that always asking you what you're doing, where you're going. If they're not making an effort to know your friends, that's also a big signal, because that means they don't have an interest in your life outside of themselves, and they will try to stop that. And I don't know if I should say, you don't have to be best friends with each other's friends, because if it doesn't work out, that's a whole other train wreck you got to deal with. But there should be effort. There should be, if you're going to a movie with friends and you want to bring them along, he should say, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that. But he says, no, let's just stay home. It's like, just little things like that. You can't ignore those things. You got to talk it out. If he has a good reason why, if he's not feeling good, doesn't feel like socializing at that moment, then fine. But if it's a constant occurrence where it keeps happening, there's issues there. Maybe developing. Maybe he doesn't even know he has them, but they're there. And I say he because, that's just, I don't know, that's the way it always seemed to work out. But I'm talking from my own mindset. I'm not an angel. I was like this too. I was possessive. My first marriage, it's like, and that was what was weird. It's like in high school, I wasn't possessive. I'd date a person, and if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. I must move on to whatever. But it's like once you get married, things do change, because you're committed to that point. You're at the point where you don't get to just do whatever you want. They get to do whatever they want. And when one of them does, you become bitter, and it's like it's just a bad scenario. So you just try to stop it. I don't know. I think that's a big problem where marriage comes in. It's like their possessiveness. So it's like you can't just say you can just say if they try to stop you in any way from doing anything you enjoy to do, you got to evaluate that. You got to sit down and talk about it. And if there's any sign of anger or violence, then don't even keep talking. Just stand up, get out. I understand there's some people that just can't get out. There's things, kids, I guess items. Don't worry about your items, but law can get your items back. Kids are a different scenario. So try to catch it before you have kids. Try to catch it before your kids get too old. Being like in every way, like dating your best friend. To a point that works. But then again, it gets to a point where you're in a relationship and you want to if you still want to maintain your individuality, but you're exactly the same, you're always going to have someone who want to tag along, because that's what they like to do too. So it's not really, you don't have the same things. You don't want to have the same things. Not all the time. You want differences. Like if, I don't know, if the person you're with is interested in gardening, but you're into working on cars. Now, that's a good split in the middle. Now, you're going to have to figure out times where you can do either or, because if you have kids, there's going to be times where that person's not going to want the kids around their gardening. You're not going to want kids around your work on your car. So you got to make it to where you're each getting equal time to have your time. So that's the hard part, because then one person feels like the other one's soaking up all the time while they don't get to work on their car. Like you might want to work on your car at nighttime, which is great. But maybe you want to work on it during the day, have a beer, barbecue. It's like, have your own personal time working on your car, but she wants to do the same thing on the garden. I know I threw in a she there, because that could be either way, but, so you have that conflict of time, which that's where the rift starts happening. When that happens more often. So it's a scheduling thing. You got to figure out what works out. If you want to work out during the day, she wants to work out during the day. It's like, when you have kids, that doesn't always work. So you have to figure out a schedule. Be okay with that schedule. It can't be, well, today I know it's your time, but I want to do this anyways. It's like, no, you gotta find something, commit to it. Make it a routine. Yeah, so I mean, there's things you can do together. I mean, you're going to still have your things you have like if you like, I don't know, that's a lot of likes. If you want to, I don't know, if you're both hunters, which is pretty common where I'm from, spouses hunt together, but you can do that. You can each bait the pile, sit in the same shack, stuff like that. Problem is with hunting, I know I'm kind of just breaking off here, but problem with hunting, like things that are so alike like that, is you have some people that do hunting camp. Now, if you're the old style hunting camp, I'm from the era where, the guys go to camp and on the off days, like weekends, weekend nights, night times basically, or whatever, you go to the bars, you talk about your deer stories, you hang out with your guy friends, you do all this stuff. And then, so that's kind of like a personal time, but you both enjoy hunting. Now, if, like, I'll say from the guy's point of view, the guy's out there hanging out with his friends, but he wants to be away from the wife during hunting season, but you're both at hunting camp. That makes it hard, because what are you going to do? Because sometimes when you're a guy at the bar hunting, things escalate. You're never going to take it that far. Some take it way too far, and flirt turns into something else. So, and there's always women at, I probably should say this for our show too. I mean, hunting camp stories would be an awesome show. But anyways, so that's where that's an example of where things kind of intermix, where you can't actually share the interest. So having somebody with you exactly the same, don't do that. Have things that are alike. Try to figure out what you guys can do together that doesn't interfere and causes a rift, like hiking. Hiking is perfect for couples because it's something you both like to do. Me and my wife, we love to hike. We have different ways of hiking, but it's something I can do because she likes to stay on trail and tries to, she does cross country skiing and stuff like that. I like to more snowshoe, so I like to go off trail. I like to explore the woods. I like to walk over stumps and do hard runs through the forest. So yeah, there's that. There's different styles of what you like to do, which helps keep it different. You can introduce each other to different ways of doing things you do. So yeah, when it comes to that branched off of was just someone taking up your time. So if you notice them trying to take up your time, trying to take away from what you like to do, you probably should walk away. What else is there? There's that's kind of like the possessive thing, but that the ones where I guess jealousy is a good one. Jealousy is one where it's so many different levels of jealousy. There's the ones where they use anger, the scariest one of them all. There's one where they use emotional warfare. They try to guilt trip you, try to make you feel so guilty about something you just don't ever want to be anything other than them, and that's not good. That just sets everything off for future whatever. But so if they got a real loose cannon, you can really tell the loose cannon guys. Sometimes they can control it, even women, but if they can control it where they get angry and they punch things, but they don't punch you or people, I mean, that's hard to say, because he or she, they are venting it in a way that's at least healthy to where it only hurts them. But when does that not become enough? When does that escalate? And that's the part where you're gambling. There's going to be a point where something happens in life. If they're at stress where they're punching things and just expressing their anger that verbally, it's a sign. It is a matter of time. It could take years. It could take 10, 20 years, but you just never know. Do you want to be on the receiving side of when they finally snap? Kind of like a pit bull. Pit bulls, great. They're wonderful dogs. They're the most gentle thing you'll ever own, unless they've had a bad experience or they have a reason to turn or really anything. Any kind of dog is like that. So people are just animals. We have our breaking points. We have our signs. We have everything. As long as you're looking for them, you just need to know what to look for. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. All I have is my experiences. So I do lives once in a while. I mean, I'll reopen this up. I mean, we can go into talks like this, which I think it works out great. I would love to do relationship advice, but it's not my show. It's not my basis of what I do. So if anybody out there thinks that that'd be a good idea, hit me up. We can do a video chat. I do a lot of online video stuff. And yeah, for now, we'll see how long it lasts. I got TikTok Live. I've always thought about doing something with that. My name's Rob. It's been fun talking at you. Next time, maybe I'll be talking with you. So check in later. Check out my TikTok. It's kind of new. It's mostly just a bunch of dumb videos, but I am doing more lives and stuff. So if you can follow me on there, we can get on the lives and, maybe hash things out on there. I love debating. So TikTok, YouTube. YouTube's fairly new. You might find me there. If you want my links, I'll post my links on here. If not, email me if you want them and I'll send them to you. But YouTube, Facebook. Facebook's another one where I basically just post updates of my show. I don't really do a lot on there, but I'll do more I'll do more follows, do more lives on there. So yeah, follow me, share the podcast. So the more it gets out there, the more I'm happy to do it more often. So I do want to get more on a weekly basis, more guests. So I can't do that unless I know people are listening. And so take it from this what you will. So yeah, share this with somebody you think might want to hear it. If your kids actually sit down and listen to podcasts, have them listen to it. You never know. It could be educational and hearing from somebody other than their parents. Someone that's actually dealt with this stuff and lived through it. And I hope it helps somebody. Talking about it helps me for sure. So I'm Rob, just talking at you. Next time, maybe I'll be talking with you. We'll go from there and see how it goes. So hope it helps. Bye.